John here from Ripewave Audio, and I'm here with two Arylic products, the A50 Plus and the B50. These are solutions that they market as wireless stereo amplifiers. Now, it has the wireless term, but they don't have to be connected using wireless, but they certainly have that capability built into it. And these represent two generations of Arylic products. The A50 Plus is a little older. It's from 2021, and the B50 just came out this year. Now, earlier this year, we did put a video together showing the full range of Arylic products of this type. It also included the A30 Plus, also a few years old, as well as the SA100. And all these range between $139 and $299 for the price of these. Now, the A50 Plus retails for $199. You can get it from their website, but also from Amazon and other retailers. And the B50 comes in, and I was kind of surprised it came in lower than the A50 Plus. And we'll talk about those in a little bit. But the B50 comes in at $139. Of course, all these details are in that video that we did in the prior year. But now we have these in front of us. Now, we did have the A50 Plus at that time, but what has arrived since is the B50. And I've been waiting to do this video to kind of do these both together to talk about the differences now that we physically have these in front of us. Now, just physically looking at these, the B50 is a little larger than the A50 Plus, but it's more to it than the size. I just think that the B50 just looks that much more of a piece of quality gear. So I think what's happening between the A50 Plus and the B50 is they're really refining this type of product that is able to take in a lot of different sources, including wireless, and provide modern connectivity options for not just the input, but the output. A couple of things that the B50 add that is not in the A50 Plus. One of them is the Bluetooth support for headphones. And we were able to try this out, and it did work with our Sony headphones. It does support aptX HD. Now, of course, if your Bluetooth headphones doesn't support that particular codec, it's going to revert back to something of lower quality. Find that common denominator. Usually that's SBC. But that output to headphones or wireless speakers that have the Bluetooth capabilities is new with the B50 and not present in the A50 Plus. The other big difference, in this case it's for wired connections, is the introduction of HDMI ARC connections. So this is the sound feedback from your television. And I did test this out with Apple TV plugged directly into the television behind me and then coming out from ARC of the TV, and it just connected up seamlessly. Both of these come with an Apple-like design for the packaging, so it's really well thought out. I really like the fact that Arylic has put some thought into the documentation, having some nice clear pictures, articulating the different use cases. And it's not just creating a piece of hardware that is economical. They're still trying to make this very user-friendly for this type of product at this price point, and it's very comforting to see that. So when you take this out of the box, the first thing you're going to run into is the user manual. Then there's a usage sheet which shows you how to set up with the mobile application, which is different in the B50 versus the A50 Plus. They're using a new app with the B50 called Go Control. This is available for Android as well as iOS Apple devices. But the A50 Plus uses a application called ForStream. And this is the same app or derivative of an app we saw like on the Wim Mini. I think it shares a common code base for those two. But they give that usage sheet to set that up and get that running, as well as connecting up to your Bluetooth headphones. And following that intuitive instructions, we were able to connect our Sony headphones. In fact, I had more of a trouble knowing how to put my headphones into pairing mode, which is holding that power button for 7 seconds. That wasn't intuitive on the Sony headphones, but more intuitive on this. And as you open it up, the first layer you get below the documentation is to take out the B50 itself, and then followed by the B50 is 2 boxes on the lower level, and they've got some tabs on there. You can easily pull those out, and one of them is accessories, which have your remote, as well as a power cable. I will note, just like the A50plus, while it's giving you a USB power cable, they do not give you the USB power adapter. So you'll have to have one that you have lying around the house, or have a power strip, etc., that have all ready to go a USB-A connection or USB-C connection on that. So just a note there. And of course the antennas, there are 2 antennas on the back of this model, and those are in the accessories box as well. And then another box going to have your power supply in there. It seems like the same or similar power supply that comes with the A50 Plus. This goes into the back of the unit. The power part is external to the device, which is nice. And then there is an IEC power cord connection to that power supply, to the power strip that you're using. And that's very similar to like a computer power supply that's being plugged in there. So once you get through that, you can go ahead and set it up. Now, the remotes are pretty much identical between these 2 units. I do notice some differences here. Because this one has transmit Bluetooth, there's a repurpose of the button on the upper middle that is for putting the transmit Bluetooth into pairing mode, and you can pair up to 2 devices, but not more than 2 simultaneously. And some of the labels have changed, like aux in have changed to line in on the remote. Now you have an ARC button on here. Optical in is the same. You have Wi-Fi on the A50 Plus. For this button says Wi-Fi, whereas this one says Bluetooth receive. And so there is slight difference on the labeling because the functionality is a little different. But you still have your bass, treble, and flat buttons, which are nice. You can adjust up and down on the settings there. And you have some additional buttons in here for the other inputs like USB, PC, etc. Different sound modes, pop, jazz, rock, vocal. Whereas here it's just got numbers 1 through 6. So same remote, but different labeling on the buttons and different functions there because these are slightly different. So they're not that interchangeable because they have different functions. Now what we've done here is I wanted to compare the sound quality on this. So I do have an AB switch here for the amplifier. And with this AB switch, I can toggle between the A50 Plus and the B50, and I found the sound very similar. I did feel that the B50 had a little better sound. I tried to level match these, playing with the same sources as we always do, and I did have a preference, albeit a subtle preference, for the B50 with out-of-the-box configurations and sound modes. So this is how we've got it set up in our test, and we're trying different sources with these. It did work with the ARC connection. It did work with a like label as a DAC. I think that needs a little more clarity there because really when you have a PC and let's say your streaming services are coming into your PC and you want to use the B50 or the A50 Plus as your sound card essentially, or as your digital audio converter, That sends the signal out of the PC as digital through USB, and then the DACs within these devices are translating it to analog. And so it's not an external DAC as it's kind of labeled. One thing you'll notice here as you toggle between the different sources, the LEDs do change color, so you could just by visually, if you recognize the color, I think the arc setting is like a purplish color if I recall correctly. I do like the fact that on the speaker connections on the new B50 that they've moved to more of a 5-way binding post, albeit a little small on those, but they still do the job. I find banana plugs work better than spade connectors on this for this type of application. Of course, the A50plus has that Phoenix style connection, so that's a little different for some of you to use that wiring. The B50 does not have wired Ethernet, so all the Ethernet level, the IP-based source material will be coming in through Wi-Fi. And then, of course, you have Bluetooth, which you do have Bluetooth here, and you do have Wi-Fi here. They both have a subwoofer out. They both support a optical input and a line input. So this is great. The additional analog input that the B50 has is a phono input, and this will give you the ability to use a moving magnet cartridge, not a moving coil. Of course, a lot of these lower cost phono preamps don't support moving coil cartridges, so that's not to be expected unless you go to like a standalone phono preamp. Rarely do you see moving coil in a receiver or an AV processor or anything like that. But generally, I would say that these are nice, easy to use devices. You can easily move them around. So recently we set up some exercise equipment in our garage, a treadmill, an exercise bike, and I could quickly bring a stereo system in there by taking either the A50 Plus or the B50 with these monitor speakers and just bring them in and stream from our iPhones as we are working out, and it serves its purpose very well. One place we're going to be using these is with our outdoor Polk Audio Atrium speakers. So when we're outdoors, we can just change the music right from our iPhones, and that's going to work out really nice. So I really like the flexibility that they've added with the B50. I really see this as an evolution. I love the connectivity is made, some improvements. We've only lost that Ethernet connection there, so it's mostly additions. When you add a subwoofer, it really enhances the sound too, so also having that subwoofer output is really good. And the last thing I want to mention is the volume knob. I love having this, and when you rotate it around, of course that changes the volume, but if you push that button in, it cycles through the inputs. Now, of course, you have random access on the remote. You also have random access to the new Go Control app. And I like the Go Control app better than the 4Stream. Now, one of the differences here is the Go Control app, I'm not searching for songs in the Go Control app itself. You go to your Apple Music or your Amazon Music app, and it connects to it, and then through Apple AirPlay, it makes those connections to the B50, versus with the A50 Plus, you're searching for your music that way. So a big difference in the applications as well. So overall, I'm very happy with what they've done with the evolution of this. I'm even more happy that they've done it at a very nice price and at lower than what they offer the A50 Plus even to this day. So we're able to get this at $139, and who knows, you might be able to get a discount on top of that depending on when you're looking. So what are your thoughts on these wireless stereo amplifiers? Do you have a need for this? Now, we do have our home theater systems at Ripewave Audio, but we also feel there's a need for this in different parts of our house, depending on how we want to be able to quickly set this up and listen to it. But what are your thoughts? How would you use this? And do you really appreciate this type of form factor? That feedback would be useful to the Ripewave Audio community. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to take your involvement to the next level, visit our Patreon channel at www.patreon.com/Ripewave. And you can always hit that one-time thanks button and give us a donation. That's very appreciated to help this channel along. We recently passed 1 million views, which is a great milestone for this channel. And I appreciate everybody's support here. As always, you can hit that bell notification so you're notified when the next video is posted. Until then, keep evolving your audio experience.